What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday. We're getting tactical once again. It looks like my audio's peaking a little bit, so I'm going to turn it down just a smidge. And hopefully that sounds a little bit better. Oh my god. Chat. What a weekend it was for competitive Warhammer 40k. I touched on it a little bit. If you watched my best armies in 40k video this morning, the answer is like almost all of them, and it's nuts. That video was very daunting because almost every single event was won by a different faction. And on top of that, if we dive into, as we're about to do right now, into the X and 1 brackets, so the top 3, top 4, top 5 of these larger events, we can find basically every single faction represented in the game. It is sick. It's awesome. I think that we are definitely still in a transitional period between the pre-data slate and the post-data slate season, and I think that does have something to do with it, because there's a lot of questions right now. What is good? Which factions are going to come out on top? What are the best builds for the factions that are strong right now? And what are the new Space Marines going to do, obviously? So those are all open questions, and I think that's adding a little bit of uncertainty to the metagame, which is definitely having people just kind of throw crap at the wall and see what sticks. But a lot of it is sticking, and that is absolutely rad. So, yeah, I think that it looks great. I'm not going to say that the data slate was perfect, or, we're going to end up with as healthy of a game as we do at this very moment, but I have to say that the first couple results are looking extremely promising, so I'm very excited for that. Have AdMech salt? Well, let me tell you, chat, like I said, I believe that every single faction is represented in X and 1. We're gone are the days. I don't know if I saw an Adepta Sororitas, but I'm sure they're in there somewhere. Gone are the days of the last couple months where we would like literally struggle to find one person registering with Leagues of Votann or something for a tournament. Now basically all those factions are at X and 1, and to be honest, there's only so many events. There are more factions in 40k than there were events this weekend. Not everybody can go undefeated, but basically every single faction had the opportunity to go undefeated this weekend, and that's the most exciting part. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Super cool. A few tiny housekeeping things. If you don't know already, we are running a T5S2 team tournament over in the Discord server. Please come hang out with me, !Discord in chat. You can also get it on my website. Link down in the video description. The 5-person teams, we're doing a WTC-style scoring and pairing process, and it's going to be great. So please come hang out. It's all for T5S2 points. There are prizes. There's going to be raffles for teams that complete all their games. Yeah, I think that's going to be super cool. In addition, I also have a game scheduled after this over on the Purple channel. It should be about an hour and a half. About an hour probably after this stream completes over on Twitch. So please come and hang out with me for that. I'm going to be playing some Thousand Suns this time around. I did stream Tyranids basically 2 days nonstop over the weekend. I played... How many games did I play? 7, I think, over the course of the weekend. Just jamming different Tyranid detachments. Those are going to be going up on the Twitch replay channel as well, youtube.com/TacticalTortoise. So if you want to see some Tyranid gameplay, that's going to be... I'm just going to start just literally vomiting that up on there. And it was a great time. Thanks for everybody who hang out with me over the weekend while I was playing Tyranids. I dealt with all my incessant complaining about Strength 9 Norn Emissaries. All right, everybody. Let's do the thing, huh? Let's dive into some frickin' event talk here. Does anyone have any factions that we want to look at right now? I looked at all of the top placing factions in my video earlier. I think what we're going to be focusing on today are the slightly less played factions. If anybody has any requests, then that would be great. Have I done all the Tyranid detachments? I haven't played Unending Swarm yet. That's the next one on the docket. Honestly, it feels kind of straightforward to me, so it was one of the least exciting. But that's the one that I haven't actually played yet. Let's see, GSC, Necrons, Demons, Death Guard, Orcs, Thousand Suns, Votann, Sisters, Black Templars. Oh my god, literally everybody wants to see something different. Alright, we got a second Votann. We're jumping into Votann first, chat. I've decided to put my foot down. That was the first one to get 2 votes. Yes, so we do have some Votann. If we look through all of the events over here, look at all these. So this is W4. This is a smaller event. Votann at 3 and 2 twice. That's interesting. But we did have some X and 1 Votann. Let me just grab where they were at. Oh, there we go. We found some Adepta Sororitas. Just kidding. I spoke too soon. Also Adeptus Mechanicus. Look at this, chat. Look at this trifecta. Sean Bear, Eric Nida, and Jimmy Stoker. The 3 paragons of the bottom tier factions pre-data slate. Now all at X and 1 at War for the Forge GT. Absolute legends over here. All right, Jimmy. What do we got for Leagues of Votann? This one was a Broke Here Iron Master, 1 in here champion, Grim Demeanor on that guy, a Call with Long List, double Hearthkin Warriors, 2 of them, plus 2 Sagittars, so we can split one of them up and then fill the Sagittars. Double in here Hearthguard, 10 models apiece. That's a lot of Deca. Plus 2 Broke Here Thunderkin, and those guys are going to be rocking it in a Hecaton Land Fortress. Just 1, I guess. Only a single Hecaton Land Fortress. We're just focusing on the Hearthguard. I heard somebody describe the Votann faction post-data slate as being 30 Hearthguard in a trench coat, and this list is very much embodying that energy. Plus double Hernkin Pioneers. This one's a little bit interesting. The list I would have expected to see were a bunch of land fortresses. I guess a bunch of Hearthguard kind of take the place of the land fortresses, and they're a little bit more expensive, but they do way more damage. Plus like a ton of Sagittars, because I think the Sagittars with +1 to hit and wound, it's like mass firepower, and you can drop off tons of Hearthkin Warriors to do your secondaries, which all feels pretty good. But also, I think just making use of the fact that we are getting that huge offensive bonus, +1 to hit and wound, basically across the entire army against whatever you want to shoot at on the first turn, is super solid. So taking the higher volume in here Hearthguard that have much more mobility does make a ton of sense. Yeah, I don't know. Seems pretty cool. Very sweet. Double Broke Here Thunderkin is sweet too. Those guys are cheap as chips right now. They're like 25 points a model, right? Yeah. Oof. That's good. That's solid. Plus one of them gets the +1 bonus from the Broke Here Iron Master, probably if it's ground pounding with that guy attached. Still a little bit weird that the Thunderkin and the Iron Master can't... I don't believe that they can embark together inside Land Fortress because I think it's too many models. I think the Thunderkin count is 3 apiece, so they take up most of the... they take up like 9 of the 12 transport slots, is that right? And then the Iron Master can't fit. Hey, there he is. We are on Best Coast pairings today, chat. For the lists. Oh yeah, these are Sixers of Thunderkin anyway. Yeah, because it's 3 apiece, and the Land Fortress takes 12, right? So you can only fit 4, I guess, which you would never take. It's 3 or nothing essentially. 3 into character, as long as the character isn't an Iron Master, so it's not something that's attached to the unit. A little bit of weirdness, a little bit of anti-synergy, but at least they get +1 to hit and wound against most of your opponent's army now, so that's something. Good stuff from Votann today. Let's see if we have any more Votann to talk about. We can talk about these XN2 Votanns real quick. This event was very large. One of the largest events of the weekend, by the way, RatCon. This is Australia? It was, yeah, in Victoria, Australia. And so we had a lot of data to pull from for this one. Only ran 5 rounds, so there's a ton of X&1s. Doesn't look like we grabbed a Votann, but we do have Chaos Space Marines, Chaos Knights, we had Grey Knights and Drukhari undefeated. And look at this for, once we hit on World Eaters, chat, look at this World Eaters result. 4 100s, a 74-point loss. I guess it's not quite as impressive as having a 90-point loss, but 400s and a 74-point loss is one of the most impressive finishes I've seen in a really long time. All right, we had some other Votann to talk about, I believe. Yeah, here we go. Leagues of Votann over here at 3 and 2. This was a smaller event, so 3 and 2 still gets you top 5. So this is the highest of the 3 and 2 players over here. This is Jeremiah Petit. Triple N here champions, chat. Oh my god. Let's just pull up the N here champion datasheet and marvel at his glory real quick. That is a ton. That's so many. Who needs calls, am I right? Plus, they has that new model that's pretty cool. I don't like the head of the new model, but I appreciate that they gave it a helmet, so you can replace it with the hat, which is great, because I like the helmet. Does the regular guy come with a helmet? I have no idea. You get charge rerolls. You get impact attacks when he hits. How many points is this guy? 80 points. It's a little pricey for a combat character, but it seems fine. Plus, he's got a d6+1 damage mass hammer. Downside is that it hits on 3s instead of 2s and only has 3 attacks, which is a little bit sad. Oh, but he automatically deep strikes your unit, which is cool. Although I don't think he can attach to anything besides Hearthguard, so it doesn't... Does that matter? Do Hearthguard not already have... Oh, that's if he doesn't take the Weavefield Crest. I guess he could give himself... I guess you could take the crest, the invuln save crest on one of them, and the deep strike crest on the other guy, which is why that matters. That's a little bit funky, though. You'd think that he would be able to attach to more units that he could then grant deep strike to. I think that would be a cool use case for the character, but clearly people are like him already. 2 3s of Broke Your Thunderkin plus a 6. Everyone with Graviton Blast Cannons. 2 5s of Earn Here Hearthguard. So you think we could do a little bit of like kind of crossplay as a utility unit too, which is kind of nice. Plus a big tenor. This is a triple Hecaton Land Fortress. Oh, we might also put them inside the Land Fortresses too. And then these guys, I think, coming off the side probably aren't too bad as a strategic reserve, because at least strategic reserves with guns are pretty effective. They can always shoot something. Plus double Hurricane Pioneers. No Sagittars at all in this list, by the way. We are all Hecaton Land Fortresses all the time. And I guess, to be fair, the Land Fortress defensive profile, now comparing it to... It's like 20 points cheaper than a Land Raider, right? It probably has equivalent firepower. It doesn't have the same anti-tank as like the 4 Godhammer pattern las cannons, but it does have lots more volume shooting because it has all the little bolt cannons. The ballistic skill 4 sucks, but it's the same defensive profile and it's less expensive. Oh, and it has fire support. Very sexy. Yeah, it only takes up to 12 models. But I guess what you can do is, like, you can fire support for the 5s of Hearthguard, which is pretty sweet. I just had the Hearthguard datasheet up. Because they're taking disintegrators. They are taking the disintegrators. Yeah, so we can put the Hearthguard inside the transport. We can fire support for them, and then you can fish for devastating wounds. And again, devastating wounds, 1 damage devastating wounds guns, just like this one, got the buff that you now can't use anti-mortal wound effects against them. So that's actually kind of solid. I like that's a cool little one of a combo, chat. I like that. It's the new N-Tier champion is the first Votann HQ with a helmet. Oh, weird. Dude, I love their helmets. I love the little like grumpy spaceman helmet. You'd think they would just give that out like candy. I would be head swapping the shit out of my characters if I played Leagues of Votann, 100%. That's wild. All right, champ. That's some Leagues of Votann. What else did we get asked for? Dude, everybody's looking for something different. We got so many. All right, a couple people on Death Guard. We do have a 3/2 Death Guard here. I think we have some 4/1s. Yep, here we go. 4/1 against the Showdown at Frogton. This is kind of a stacked crowd, by the way. Got Brad Chester, Joe Ramuni.
Happy Tuesday. Got to use the new Gaunt Flamer in 2x20 Spine Gaunt bricks Monday. It's surprisingly good with assault and pairs well with Spine Fists.
Oh, yeah. Dude, the new Gant, like, damage output's kind of sweet. Honestly, I do wonder if... It's probably not good, but I do appreciate that there's an archetype that we can use with, like, a Termagaunt, and you can, like, lethal hit and critical 5s on the big units in Endless Swarm. And you can shoot, like, with the Webbers and the... I guess the Webbers don't actually really want it, but, like, the Shard Launchers do. And if I remember correctly, the new Termagant profile gets all of the different guns. You just get one of each. So it's almost just a straight upgrade to their... I guess I'll look that up just to be sure. Because I did read it for a second, then I didn't quite remember. So it's basically just a straight upgrade to their attack volume, and that's really what you want. Is that the case? Where's the Termagant datasheet in this codex? Can't even find it. Yeah, it's just for every 10 models you get one of each. Yeah, so the spike rifle's the only one that you're kind of like whatever. Like, it has an AP value, but it doesn't shoot, or it doesn't shoot more than one time. But the shard launcher is extra shots, and then the flamer just is like devastating wounds and solid. And then you can lethal on 5s, and if you're in spine fists, then your other hits twin link anyway, which is pretty cool for 1 CP. Well, it's 1 per 10 models for each, chat, right? Yeah, because it's not if it was one total per 10, it would say for every 10 models of the unit, 1 model's range weapon can be replaced with a shard launcher, spike rifle, or strangle web. Instead, because they're each individual bullet points, you get all 3 bullet points, which is very nice. I think, yeah, you're mostly in it for the shard launcher, because that has blast and base strength 5, which is like a good upgrade. And then I think the strangle web you almost always take. Also, the strangle was an 18-inch flamer. How am I only just now seeing this? Holy shit. Dude, horses, they're shooters, you know? Got a lot of projectile velocity out of those big round things, you know what I'm saying? 18 inches. Holy shit. That's a lot. Wow, that's actually way better than I thought. I thought it was 12 and I was still into it. That's insane. Very nice. How can you join the online tournament? Just go to the Discord. Go to my Discord and you'll find all the information over there. There is a channel called the T5S2 Team Showdown, and you can go and find all the registration there. We also have looking for team channels and roles, so you can ping people who are looking for team members or looking for channels or looking for new teams. So if you don't have a team established, then you can join a new one. Yeah, I think the Spine Fists don't look too bad. The other cool thing about the Spine Fist is that if you get engaged and don't die, you can still perform actions when you're engaged because you have a pistol weapon, which is kind of sweet. Not gonna lie, that's pretty awesome. All right, we were talking about Death Guard was the next army that we wanted to talk about. So this is Garrett Stacy, who did go 4-1 with the old DGs. We've got a Terminator Sorcerer.
The Horse Gun.
The Horse Gun, indeed. The Horse Gun, indeed. The old horse shooter, you know what I'm saying? Oh boy. Yes. You got me all kerfuffled thinking about horses now. a Death Guard Terminator Sorcerer plus a Lord of Virulence for those good wound rerolls. That 325 point Mortarion. Dude, this guy is so cheap now. Hot diggity damn. He was like close to 400 on a release, right? That's nuts. That's nuts. 100 points for Typhus. Love it. That dude's awesome. Just doing mortal wounds at range is super sick. Especially since a lot of people drop mortal wound protection, so that's super good. 2 units of Blightlord Terminators. Looks like 10 apiece. With combi bolters. Yeah, just the normal Reaper autocannons, combi bolters, Flails of Corruption, Plague Spewers. Triple cultists. Holy crap. These guys do scout, which is like maybe, I think, one of the best keywords in the game. I'm slowly It's certainly a side grade from infiltrators. It used to be just straight worse. But Scout giving you the opportunity to like to like automatically lock in center objectives, tactical objectives on turn 1 is huge. Where you can be like, oh, I pulled Secure No Man's Land, or I pulled Extend Battle Lines, or I pulled Area Denial, or Deploy Teleport Homers in the first turn. It's like a quarter of the possible missions. And any scouting units basically just complete those automatically. And that's so strong. So those Death Guard Cultists, super good. Plus they have OPSEC, which is also good. Triple Plague Burst Crawlers, double Nurglings. Seems legit. I don't know. Interesting. There's no Poxwalkers. Typhus is just loan operating it. Can he join the Blight Lord Terminator units? I'm sure he can, right? I know he can join Death Shroud. Oh my god, my cat. Kitty, you want to come say hi to chat while we're talking about Death Guard? She super doesn't. She super duper does not. Where you at, Typhus? Let's look at you. It gives this unit -1 to hit and melee. Oh, he can't join Blight Lords. Okay. Yeah, alright. So, I mean, we're already deep striking these guys, and then he just gets to do a bunch of mortal wounds when you deep strike anyway. Because the other one gets joined. Oh, I guess it's a question of whether or not you join with the Lord of Virulence or the Terminator Sorcerer. Huh. Is like Typhus just a lone operative sniper? Is that what we're taking him for? He just gives Illic Nightspear the plague and just like tells him to go back into quarantine. He's like, stop. I guess you can't tell him that he's enforcing mask mandates because Illic Nightspear is already wearing a mask. But that mask didn't work, and now he's dead. What's my opinion on running Tethons with or without the Scarab Occult 10 brick? I don't actually like the Scarab Occult Terminators. I was like super high on them when I first started playing Thousand Suns, and I slowly lost interest. And now that Thousand Suns are just generically less efficient, I don't think that they can really spare the points for like the huge brick, because the brick itself is like 400 some odd points, right? And you have to burn like 2 CP on it when it does anything anyway. So it's like a lot. I don't know. I don't love it. I think rubrics do almost as much damage and are half the cost or whatever. Not using the Hellbrute. Yeah. The Hellbrute does seem absolutely amazing. Being able to shoot -1 saves on somebody from across the table is super good. Although I was thinking the other day, the Hellbrute, what's the duration of its effect? Is it only shooting phase? So it only gets any extra benefit if you are in the -1 AP. What's it called? Plague? It's a Land Raider, it's Annihilator, it's Destructor, it's Filer. Oh, where is the Hellbrute's data sheet? Oh, here it is. There's a picture of a Hellbrute on it. Oh yeah, it's instantly the start of your next turn. Yeah, so you can actually shoot OC off people and give them -1 to hit with it. Yep, that's really good. Also, it does mortal wounds on the charge without having to have a melee weapon. So you could equip all 100% ranged weapons with it, and then you could still like impact people, and also tank shock with it. It's not a great tank shocker without a weapon, but if you're -1 toughness, then you can potentially be beating their toughness by 1 if they're only T6 base. This guy actually does kind of a lot of damage on the charge if you have a CP to tank shock. Sick. What happens if you kill the Hellbrute? Just wonder. That's a curious one. The units can always consider to be within contagion range of this model. If that model dies, I guess you still are, right? Because abilities can still be active from beyond the grave. That's been established. It's an interesting one. All right. Garrett, Stacy, congratulations on the X and 1. I think we just saw a couple Death Guard in here. If I remember correctly, there's a few more that we could talk about. Some Grey Knights. We already talked about this list. I get some Adepta Sororitas to jump into later on. Oh, there's so much Adepta Sororitas, actually. People are coming out the woodwork at Adepta Sororitas. Maybe that's the only one. Maybe I've misspoken. Oh, no, here we go. Oh, this one's actually technically undefeated. A 49-point draw. Or 48-point draw. 49 points. That 49 is, that's a good number for Death Guard, right? This guy's very consistent scoring. A 48, a 49, a 79, and two 74s. Seems like either he gets like high 40s or mid 70s, which is interesting. I wonder if there's a fixed secondary thing happening there. But 49 points is, I feel like, what you should be aiming for as a Death Guard player. That should be like a super secret special strategy. If you score exactly 49 points at the end of the game, then you win. Because it's the sacred number squared. It's 2 of the sacred number. First, use the icon. Yeah, because the icon can do his big pulse of 18-inch thing. But the Hellbrute, honestly, like, also just has it's like a pretty good solid like weapon platform. Like, he also does damage instead of just giving up assassination. I think it's like a side grade, right? You save 100 points on the icon bearer. Probably principle, not seeing any Harlequin armies. Did you miss last week when we literally broke down a Harlequin army? It was actually all Harlequins all the time. This one has 2 winged demon princes. Okay. We're gonna look that guy up. How come this freaking paint of demon prince? God damn it, GW. What are you doing? He gains devastating wounds on a charge, and he forces battle shock checks. That's it? Seems okay, I guess. It's like low strength. I don't know. There's a lot of heavy infantry right now, though, so there's a lot of stuff that strength 8, 3 damage kills currently. The engagement range battle shock checks are like kind of cute, but... And I guess you can combo with the -1 leadership contagion, so that's kind of fun. Because it's -1 leadership, -1 objective control, right? So you have a pretty good chance of battle shocking them mid-fight phase, or mid-charge phase, so they can't interrupt or like Armor of Contempt you. That's okay. Interesting. But I guess they're also just like 11-inch movement, which the list doesn't always have. They're all enhanced up. So one of them has 3 extra inches of aura abilities. But it doesn't have any aura abilities besides the contagion, right? Yeah. So we could push it to a 12-inch aura, 3rd battle round. So they do innately deep strike. So the Living Plague guy could get people into the aura off of a deep strike. You could also, I guess, like rapid ingress him too. And that seems sweet.
Should SM lose half a buff? Are they Dari level?
I knew people would hyperfixate on that. I think that Space Marines in their current incarnation did not need to lose any part of Oath of Moment. That said, Space Marines, would they get 6 new detachments in addition to Gladius Strike Force, and probably a bunch of revised datasheets whose capabilities we have no idea about. Well, it probably opens up much greater design space for them to lose the wound rerolls on Oaths of Moment, and then be able to give the faction much more powerful offensive abilities elsewhere, is I think what's happening. And it's kind of like when they previewed Necrons, and they were like, guys, here's this crappy reanimation protocol roll, and you're like, okay, does that do anything? That doesn't do anything. And then it turns out every single datasheet in the faction synergized with it in a super toxic way. It's kind of like that, where they're like, guys, we took away your House of Oath of the Moment, and you're like, okay, what are you going to replace it with? And then they were radio silent for like 2 weeks. What's probably going to happen is we're going to see in a couple weeks that the new detachments have like huge offensive benefits. And I think that the combination of wound rerolls plus offensive buffs and stuff was too strong, and they had to nerf Oaths of Moment to make up for it. I also saw people saying that, like, First Company Strike Force was like way worse than current Gladius Task Force, which we've seen like one stratagem and a relic. Who knows? Who knows how strong it's going to be? We don't know anything yet. So I think that sight unseen, if you are only playing with the current Space Marine Index, that faction is super hurt by losing the Wound Rerolls and Osa moment. The faction, having received a bunch of new detachments and a ton of new rolls, will probably be fine. That's my hot take. Yeah, it is. It is a It does like feel bad. I wish they were like, oh guys, you're losing Osa moment, but like here's like Firestorm Assault has a +1 to wound on it. Like it has like an old school Veterans of the Long War, like selected to shoot or fight +1 to wound. And then like suddenly you're like, oh, actually I don't feel that bad anymore. But they didn't do that. They previewed like a +1 strength effect and the fact that you can get old Osa moment back with First Company for 1 turn, which is like maybe a little bit of a miss. I bet there's some like absolutely sweet stratagems in those detachments though. I bet it's gonna be good. Favorite part about simplifying the game, instead of just adding the veterans keyword, they wrote out every veteran. Yeah, that one's weird. I don't disagree. That one is a interesting decision. Especially since they did that for Tyranids, right? They keyworded units specifically based on what detachment they synergize with. It kind of feels like, honestly, the Space Marine Codex and the Tyranids Codex almost feel like they had like 2 different design teams working on them. Because even though I don't know anything about the Space Marine Codex yet, we know already based on previews that a bunch of stuff has changed from the index, which Tyranids did not have. They had like 2 rules mild, like slightly tweaked on datasheets, and then everything else was just the same, and they added it onto Invasion Fleet. But it looks like they're like, all right, a bunch of new detachments for Space Marines, a ton of units are getting reworked, their core army abilities getting reworked, like everything's changing for the faction, and it just feels like, I don't know, it just feels much different than the Tyranid Codex. And it feels like the plus like Space Marines have multiple. Space Marines have overlapping stratagems. There are stratagems that are shared between the detachments, and Tyranids don't have that, which is surprising. I think a lot of people, myself included, expected Rapid Regeneration to get represented in more than one detachment, but it doesn't have that. So there's like it feels like there's a lot of like game design rules that they just decided on for Space Marines that they didn't follow up for Tyranids. That's not kind of not neither here nor there. Different non-cooperative designs in my GW. Hashtag not my GW. One of the detachments will be for Gravis, one for vehicles, one for Phobos. That's basically what it is. There's not a Gravis specific detachment, but there is one. The Firestorm Assault Force is for short-range weapons specifically. So it gives everything in your army assault, and you get +1 strength if you're within 12 inches of your opponent. So it's like specifically for like dudes with flamers, like Boltstorm aggressors, guys with melta-guns, like all that stuff is supposed to get buffed by that. And then they said there is going to be a vehicle detachment, and there's also a heavy weapons detachment, which is the Anvil Siege Force, which is cool. Hope the Eldar Codex writers have free reign. Yeah. We will usher in another 100 years of Eldar domination.
How do Black Templars do with half of Oath gone?
I mean, we'll see. But we have to see how Black Templars even mesh with the current codex. Like, we have no idea what mechanically they're going to work. Although they did say that there's going to be content for those chapters inside the codex. Like, I don't know if it's rules content. They'll probably be able to use all the detachments, but I don't 100% know. Honestly, I think it's probably fine. Like, Black Templars hung a lot of their hat on lethal hits. And so, like, necessarily getting wound rerolls wasn't huge. It was big, but it wasn't, like, the most enormous thing. Like, those 100 Chainsword Primaris squads are still going to kill whatever they touch in melee. And then that's okay. We'll see, though. I don't know. I feel like trying a crap ton of Hellblasters. Oh, for +1 strength? That does seem good. Shooting out of the back of Impulsors. Pew, 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 pew. Get them. Were Genestealer Cults and Imperial Knights? I think solidly mid-tier. There's a couple here in the X and 1. I think that they're less exciting. Like, there tends to be this, what's the word? There's a trend in game communities that when something gets buffed and or nerfed, it tends to dramatically gain or lose players just based on like sort of perception. So like Genestealer cults being nerfed, I don't think they were nerfed to like unplayability. They just got nerfed really hard. But people are like, oh, I don't want to play this faction anymore, and they'll drop down. If they went back through and they did like -1 point on some of the things in Genestealer cult, then suddenly like people then reevaluate the faction from like a blank slate and then start to flock back in. It happens all the time. It's constant. And sometimes you'll even see, and GW does this too. They're very guilty of this. Sometimes you'll see games buff something in a way that doesn't matter, simply so that players will start to play it again because it's already playable, but the community perception is that it's bad. So you'll see like what GW will go through and be like, you know what? Suppressor squads -5 points. And everyone's like, ooh, suppressor squads. But the reality is at the 5 point higher points cost, they were fine anyway. But just no one wanted to look at them. I think that that happens constantly in 40k. Constantly. And that's what we're seeing in this data sheet. But there are still people playing Imperial Knights and Genestealer cult. There's Imperial Knight, I think, top 3 in one of these events, too. All right. Anyway, we're talking about this Death Guard list. That's sweet. This undefeated Death Guard list, chat. Undefeated Death Guard. Could you imagine saying that after years of Death Guard being terrible? We have a Land Raider. Oh, these cheap Land Raiders, dude. 240. Hot diggity damn. Plus 3 Death Shroud Terminators, 1 Blow Drone, 2 individual Mephitic Blight Haulers, a singleton Plague Burst Crawler, a Brigand and a Stalker. I like the ally includes because they also get the benefits of the contagion auras. Because if you're reducing armor save characteristics and you're reducing toughness, it's still going to impact the War Dogs, even though the War Dogs aren't themselves Death Guard. Because those are just statistical modifiers, to my knowledge, unless there's a rider on the data slate, but I don't have it open right now. Which seems fine. Plus, they give you things that are kind of fast, which Death Guard doesn't really have otherwise. Although we do have Mortarion, which is nice. Yeah, interesting. This is like kind of it's trying to be a fast and really technical list, and I really like that actually, because you can. Like we said, right? Those demon princes can hop in with rapid ingress, and they can potentially be dropping contagions on people and like putting themselves in good positions to like muck up the backline, because those guys are a nightmare once they get behind you if you don't have a good sort of reaction force. Also Typhus again, but Typhus could join the Death Shroud Terminators this time, so he's not all by himself. And I think that's the only unit that goes inside the Land Raider, right? That's just automatically going to get inserted in there. In fact, those are the only infantry in this list. Everything else is a monster or a vehicle. Respect. Or just a vehicle, I guess. There's no monsters. Oh, Mortarion. Besides Mortarion. This is cool. This is a cool list. So I think you'd sort of assume that everyone's rocking like 20 or 30 Terminators or a bunch of Plague Marines. But this one's just taken... We're just on vehicles today. We're just taking the old Death Guard Armored Company. Should we keep with the Chaos theme, chat? We got this world... We got so many World Eaters doing it. I said that in my tier list, and I wasn't sure if World Eaters were too low, because they had some strong archetypes. Alright. Just kidding. Dear Thomas Aldred Musla, go fuck yourself. This is a Necron list. It's a Necron list that you printed and then took a photo of. You're scum. You're scum and you don't deserve any of these 100-point wins. Those should be negative 100-point losses. Get out of here. You've been kicked off the throne of skulls. Your skull isn't even worthy to be put inside the throne of skulls. All right, we got another World Eater from Ratcon. Yeah, Dean Sinbeck. Hopefully, I'll cross my fingers, chat. Hopefully, it's not a Necron list. Oh, thank God, it's a real World Eaters. Oh my God. They got me over there. They got me good. I'm a little bit worried every time I complain about somebody misrepresenting their faction on their list that I'm just gonna like Streisand affect it, where I'm gonna be like, this is the most annoying thing, and I'm always gonna be mad about it, and that means more people are gonna do it, just so they can like clip me on stream doing it. I feel like that's the height of hubris to assume that I influence people's decisions for their BCP registrations, but man, does it grind my gears. Alright. Back over to a real World Eaters list. Mr. Dean, you're a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you for rigging a real World Eaters list. It's actually a World Eaters list. We have Angron, a Juggy Nugget guy, a McJugger Nugget, with favorite of Corn. Not the cool Chain Axe? What? Not the Berserker Glaive? Do we even have a Berserker Glaive? No, it's double Lord of Skulls. What? Man, I talked about how terrible I thought the Lord of Skulls was now. Was I wrong? Was I just totally incorrect about that thing? Maybe you play on really good terrain for it. If you play on like 2D terrain, the Lord of Skulls is great. So he has favorite of Corn, which is, I believe, if I remember correctly, that's the reroll on a blessing die. Yeah, you can just roll again. It's not even a reroll, it says. We have 1 Jackal unit, a bunch of 8-bound, 2 of 3 regular 8-bound, 1 of 3 exalted 8-bound. I think people decried the 8-bound pretty hard when they were initially released in the index. I guess because they don't hit as hard, but it does feel like their melee profile is good enough, it looks like. Especially with the base move 9, you can push that to 11 with advance and charge. It's actually an extremely long threat range in 10th edition. One thing that I think that maybe people were misunderstanding about 10th edition, and I certainly didn't really like appropriately recognize from the beginning, was how close fought 9th edition feels. Like, they nerfed everything's melee threat range, and they nerfed your melee output, but because of tactical objectives, everyone, and because of where the objectives are placed in the missions now, with some very few exceptions, everyone has to be like 9 inches away from each other all the time. So there's constantly like idiot chaff units running into the middle, or like, you know, stupid screens and stuff like that, because there's rapid ingresses you have to aggressively screen for and stuff. And I think that you end up with this like 11-inch advance and charge, like they have this like 20-ish inch threat range that is actually just fine as like a kind of a long threat range unit. So I bet 8-bound were actually better than better than everyone thought. Although that, to be fair, they were like wildly expensive because they were like 50 or 60 points a model, I think. These guys get a Wound of 1 reroll. That's kind of sweet. It's also... Oh, it is melee attacks only. And then 2 Lords of Skulls. Alright. I'm so interested in these Lords of Skulls, chat. Somebody said in the chat that there was a write-up about this? Let's see if I can find it. Oh, he did a video.
G'day, guys.
Okay. Oh, yeah. He has a YouTube channel. Oh, sweet. I'll link the video to you people, so that we can, everybody can enjoy. I'm not going to go ahead and steal this person's content on stream, but you should go check it out. Looks like this is the write-up from the event. Did you take pictures or anything? I want to see the train. Here's the... Oh my god, Inky. I need you to calm down. I want to see your games. Oh, he just, like, vlogged it. Oh my god. My cat. Show me your terrain. I want to see your terrain. Oh, YouTube's being fucky wucky today, chat. Cool armies. These are some sweet armies, that's for sure. Okay. Yeah, it looks like they have the tables here. So it's like kind of FLG style. Yeah, those are some big movement lines. The issue for these guys is on, like, if you're playing US Open. Also, it might have been player placed. This actually looks player placed. Is this in Germany? Hold up. I thought this was in Victoria. Show me a player pack. Nope, this is all just posts about the player pack. Maybe it's on the page? Nope. I don't know, chat. This kind of looks like player place terrain, though. And that does make it make a lot more sense, if that is the case. And I'm sure somebody in chat could correct me there. But yeah, the issue with these guys on US Open is that you can't place units if these sections are 2 inches or less in height, then that's good, but you can't place the Lord of Skulls on top of them. So what ends up happening is that because they can't move over terrain features that are too large, because they don't have Titanic Walker, they get stuck behind these little abutments really easily, and they have to move all the way around them. So you end up with these like super narrow movement lanes for them, and it's super easy to move block them. But if you have player placer in with these big chonky boys, then you can make big cool movement lanes to go around. So that actually makes total sense that those things would be really good. Saw comments in the competitive sub claiming the event had custom missions. There are some places that do, like he's got his stuff here, his score here. It looks like, I mean, they're doing the secondaries the normal way and the scoring the normal way. But a lot of places they'll pull cards out of the Leviathan set custom. They won't take them from the tournament companion. And honestly, that's like totally legitimate. I think that the differences between, if you mix and match these up, the differences between them is not actually that huge. It's just weird especially if you don't use the terrain layout, because they've sort of been designed around the terrain layouts. But if you add, a mission rule to most of the missions that are, that don't like sort of like just bro bork if you assign them, the combinations that you can find here are not that like egregious. They're actually not that different from the player pack or the tournament companion to begin with. And it's better when 3 Norns too. I'm less worried about the Norns, to be fair, because they're cheaper. And they do have like a lot of anti-chaff damage, so they will just kill whatever you screen with. And that's not, to be fair, the same for the Lord of Skulls. The difference between a Norn Emissary and the Lord of Skulls is that the Norn Emissary hits like a wet noodle, and a Lord of Skulls is trained. Oh, here she is. She's looking for attention, chat. Can we give her some? Oh, she's so wiggly. She's been so squiggly wiggly today. Because you don't want to see chat. You're so sad. Okay. You want to sit down? You want to sit down, be nice? Alright. Issue with open terrain is the squares on the ground give cover so much that what's the point of actual physical terrain? It's the squares on the ground. Like they cover line of sight blocking. Well, the issue, so 40k has a perennial issue with terrain, which is that typically speaking, the terrain features that has traditionally blocked line of sight are ruins, and ruins restrict movement of large models so much that they become unplayable. So the answer to that is to have line of sight blocking terrain that isn't necessarily a huge like fucking wall in the way. And that's what the packet is trying to do. So it's like a necessary evil, I think. The other way you do it is you have like, I mean, you can theme the terrain however you want, right? So one way to do line of sight blocking elements is to put like scatter terrain on top of them, like trees, and call them forests or something. And I think that's much more reasonable. I wish that that was my favorite thing about the terrain keyword system in 9th edition, that the community never really embraced to the extent that I would have preferred, where you can keyword the terrain you have anything you want. So you could keyword things like forests, obscuring, and then you could play with open area terrain that blocks line of sight, and then those big units suddenly have like a huge advantage. But nobody did that, so it was sad. Where you going, kitty cat? Are you gonna sit on my mouse so I can't scroll the page? I love that. Thank you, kitty. All right. Well, congratulations to Dean over there from Blood. It's Blog for the Blood God, I think. I typed in blog for the Blog God, which is not correct. Congratulations for going 4-1 with that list. That was a sweet list. Super cool to see. I wonder if it's just stat checks a lot of people too. You're like, oh, I'm not worried about Knights anymore. Knights got nerfed. No, they didn't get nerfed enough. You're gonna die. What should we look at next, chat? Here's a kitty, by the way. She just wants scritches. What was the last faction that people were requesting? Some people looking for 1,000 Suns? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we looking for some 1,000 Suns. Alright, I'll do 1,000 Suns unless we... Oh, hello! Jesus Christ. This cat. She's so cute. We'll do some 1,000 Suns next. 1,000 Suns and then Sisters, I promise. We already did Votan. We looked at all the Votan. You can scroll back about 20 minutes and you'll find Votan. Alright, let's look at some TS. Close all the lists that I have open already. We'll go down the line. 1,000 Suns, I actually think... I don't know. I feel like I might have underrated 1,000 Suns when it comes to their competitive viability, because a lot of people picked them back, like right back up, and did extremely well with them. Plus, they still fight Eldar good. Maybe even better now because the Eldar got way hit. They were already like a chip and a chair in that matchup, and Eldar got hit way harder than they did. All right, so is this a tournament, a undefeated list I didn't talk about on the best armies in 40k? Or did I talk about it? No, I definitely didn't. Oh shit! Did I miss one? Maybe I missed one. Oh no, chat. I think I missed a list. Oh, this one's undefeated. They went 6-0. God damn it. Luis German or Giles or whatever. I apologize. I don't remember talking about this one. Ooh, it's a little spicy. We got a Demon Prince on the way. A lot of people moving to the Demon Princes because they got big points cut. They were one of the few things in the faction that went down. Because I think they were like 215 to begin with. They were like nutty overcosted. So we have a Exalted Disc Lord, Magnus the Red, a Demon Prince, a Sorcerer, Lord of Forbidden Lore. So you usually take it on the little mini Sorcerer because he has like an 18-inch lone operative effect. So he can sit in the back and doesn't just get killed by indirect fire. If you can kill the Lord of Forbidden Lore guy, by the way, chat, in the 1,000 Suns matchup, if you just ace that guy out, their game plan like falls apart a lot of times. Because the double or triple moves from that dude are so strong. Plus he can like double Doombolt. He can just even just give additional rerolls out. He's so good. So if you kill that dude, a lot of times they can't get the maneuverability they really want. An Arcane Vortex Sorcerer. It's cute on the regular Sorcerers because they have like a 2d6 shot sustain gun. And if you boss it super hard, it just like one-shots anything in the game. But it's I think I heard somebody refer to it as a casino gun. Because if I remember correctly, it's like 2d6 sustain 2. So the potential number of shots is anywhere from like 2 to 36. Let's grab that guy's data sheet real quick here. It is the nuttiest, most unreliable gun. Yeah, 2d6 shots. It's a pistol, not torrent. Sustained 3. So 6s to hit are 3 additional hits. So they hit 4 times. It has no hit rerolls. And then the Arcane Vortex puts it to 2 damage. So you can, if you attach it to rubrics, you're probably rerolling your wounds. And you can then fish for devastatings. It's like a very silly gun. The Infernal Master is more reliable and longer range, but this guy occasionally just like one-shots anything in the game, and then you feel sad. We also have a Terminator unit, 3 Rubric Marine units, just 5s with Warflamers, it looks like, yep. Everyone's off the bolters on these guys, which is fair. 1 big unit of Scarab called Terminators, 2 Zangor Enlightened, and the blue Scribbies. So a couple utility units back there. I almost like Cultists more, honestly, than the blue Scribes, but you don't have much deep striking besides the big unit in Thousand Suns, so I totally understand. So it's kind of like the Magnus and Scarab Cult show. The rest of the list is mostly just characters and support for those 2 big ones. The Demon Prince can give you +1 or -1 to be hit onto the Terminator squad because he grants stealth and an aura. So you can dump in the Terminator squad. If you make a big like battleship of all your units, you can be -1 to be hit and wounded on the Terminators, so they're actually kind of hard to kill. Plus Magnus can give them the offensive bonuses. So, seems good. And then you can potentially just hop the Terminator squad where you need it with Umbrella Crystal Leader. Sick! This is a big tournament, by the way. I can't believe I missed this one. How did I do that? That's nuts. 62 players. Jesus Christ. All right. Well, congratulations to, who's this player's again name? Luis for 6-0ing with 1,000 Suns. That's a good one. Good stuff. All right, we said sisters after this because a bunch of people were looking for sisters. And I had said at the beginning I wasn't sure if there were sisters, and then I found like so many just hiding in the corners. We can start at oh, this is Lakes of Blood, excuse me. We have an X1 Sisters player right here to start things off. Richard Holman. Running Ephriel, Stern, and Kaiganil. The Demonofuge is back. Morven Val, St. Celestine. It's the triumvirate. It's the trifecta of Sisters characters. They're good every edition. You can't escape from them. They will always return on a 2+ at the end of the phase. Canoness with Blade of St. Eleanor. Not a Palatine. Interesting. She can go into the Sacrosancts, right, to give them rerolls. She can go into the Sacrosancts, so that's good. But it's weird that she doesn't have, like, a simultaneous attachment ability, right? Yeah. If she could attach with the Paladin and you got rerolls and lethal hits, I feel like that would be actually super sweet. And if you gave the Palatine more redundancy on its, like, super mortal wound melee swing, that would be cool. It's just weird that they like gave them kind of this like bizarre captain treatment and then forgot about it halfway through and didn't give them all of the mechanics. 2 Retributor squads with multi-meltas. 15 points apiece for those, not too bad. 2 Seraphim and a Zephyrim for utility. 2 Castigators. 2 individual mortifiers. 2 units of Paragon Warsuits. 2 units? What? I guess they are 200 points now. They're like 60, whatever, 63 points a model. 67 points a model. That's not too bad. It kind of feels like you're just taking terrible Crisis Battlesuits then, but they are kind of harder to kill. Plus a Penitent Engine with Flamers. 1 Rhino to keep the Retributors in. And a Calidus Assassin. I guess the cool thing about the Rhinos is that you can shoot the Retributors at the top, right? They got a firing deck, right? They didn't have... Oh, they had it all the whole time. Yeah, just kidding. So you can shoot 2 multi-melta shots off the top of the Rhino, plus a Counter Killer. That's something, at least. No, not a single... What's the word? Exorcist. No Exorcist whatsoever. Just taking Castigators instead. which is, it's good. The Cascaders are okay, I guess. For 140, they're alright, but their damage output does feel like kind of anemic sometimes. Ignoring cover on their battle cannon's pretty good, though. But the problem is it's only base AP 1, so if you have a good save or AP reduction effects, it's very sad. And they don't really interact well with Miracle Dice, because they have a lot high volume shooting instead of low volume, high damage. This double Paragon Warsuits is so interesting to me. We must be strategic reserving both of them. And then just like using them to power down a flank. But the one without Morphin Vol feels like it does so much less damage. It's like, it's 25% less expensive, but it does like 30% of the damage of the other one. Just feel a little bit sad. Is it maybe because I play Thousand Suns I underrated the strength of the faction? I mean, maybe. It could be personal bias in there for sure. I also think that they were like... I think that I didn't consider how much more powerful the Devastating Wounds were, is one thing. And I also didn't consider how much their, like, natural predators got nerfed too. So, like, not having... Like, Custodes was always kind of wishy-washy with Thousand Suns, because they could just, like, power through your Devastating Wounds and then kill you. But Custodes, I think post-Data Slate just, like, actually die in that matchup. They were a little bit funky into Gene Stealer cults. And Gene Stealer cults got super nerfed. And I think one of their better super top matchups were Eldar, and Eldar just got worse. So I feel like I didn't really consider how well they meshed into the metagame. Plus, they basically have a bunch of, like, the equivalent of stratagem effects they use with their Kabbalistic rituals, but they didn't actually really get hit by the free Kabbalist, like, the free stratagem change. You just can't use their defensive stratagems for free with Cabal points anymore, but the number of times you did that was very seldom in my experience. Surprised not to see the Triumph. Yeah, I like Retributors with Immolators. It's interesting to see Retributors in Rhinos. Or in one Rhino. You can also, like, play the flanks really hard. I guess you're running out of space to strategic reserve stuff if you're putting the Paragons in reserve, but you can also just, like, put them off the side and then use them to kill whatever comes into range. You can usually also counterpunch stuff, because eventually your opponent has to expose something, like, meaty for the Retributors to shoot at. Within 24 inches of the back of your table. All right, chat. Continuing on Sisters, probably. I think there were a couple more we could talk about. War for the Forge GT with another X and 1. This one ran a Dialogus, Morven Ball, Saint Celestine. This one had the Triumph. So this one's the quartet of special characters now. Just replace the Cannon S with the Dialogus. 1 BSS. There's the Immolator. 3 Castigators, 2 Exorcists, 3 Mortifiers, Paragon Warsuits, Calidus Assassin. Wait, what goes in the Immolator? I guess a character? Huh. Because you can't put the Battle Sister Squad in an Immolator, right? Because it's too small? And it doesn't have the Combat Squad ability. Oh, this is an Exorcist. What am I talking about? That's Castigator. I'll just click on every single Sister's tank until I find the right one. Oh, it does. No, you can Combat Squad it. Oh! Okay. Alright. So you can get like a Melta and a Multi-Melta? Out of the Immolator and then fire support it? That's like something, right? Plus a combi weapon with Devastating. It's not like amazing damage, but it's not terrible. 3 Melta shots with Miracle Dice is like pretty good if they're rerolling everything. And I guess you could also just put the characters inside too. Pull up the Dialogus real quick. Grants you can use a miracle dice. You change a miracle dice to a 6. And then she has Saintly Example, right? So she generates a bunch of dice when she dies. Yeah. So you put the Dialogus in the Battle Sister Squad. You can dump out 3 Melta shots with fire support from them. And then you can auto 6 one of them with any miracle dice. So you can bin your 1s for it. And then if they're next to the Triumph, you can do it with multiple. So if you get 2 out of the 3 Melta shots through, because the Triumph lets them perform multiple acts of faith, right? Then you can auto 6 one of them, and if you have another natural 6, you can do like 12 damage with 5 Battle Sisters. It's a lot of points. It's 200 points to get that, but you can potentially just accidentally kill someone. And let me tell you about something that you're not going to see coming. The random Battle Sister Squad out off the wire, just like drilling a tank for 12 damage is pretty solid. That's kind of cute. That's solidly cute, I think. I don't know. I don't hate it. Attach the Triumph to 5, yeah. Yeah. If you even attach the Triumph, right? Because it has like 18 wounds. I guess like giving it additional wounds is kind of fine. You don't ever feel bad about that. Interesting stuff. See, it's those little pieces of technology that I absolutely love. All right, let's move on from Adepta Sororitas. What do we want to hit next? Adeptus Mechanicus. I heard some people ask for Adeptus Mechanicus. Let's grab Adeptus Mechanicus. We're going down the line of factions that were really bad 2 weeks ago. We had, which was the trifecta of terrible armies in this. Over here. We got some Genestealer cults to talk about. Black Templars even. Dude, we have every list here. All right, here we go. War for the Forge. Eric Nida with Admech. With a Dune quote to begin with. I love that. That's a good start. Strong start. Triple Manipulus. One of them has the cool Devastating Wound Gun. One of them has Excoriating Emanation. I'm going to be honest, I do not know what that does. You get Stealth. Oh. That's really good. Are we attaching that to Breachers? Nope. What is this list? Oh, this is one of these like utility lists that we've seen before. That doesn't run the Breacher teams. It just runs a bunch of individual units. That's cool. So it's attaching to Skitarii? Okay. I'll buy that for $1. That seems kind of fun. I guess you get that new invuln saves. That's pretty sweet. And Manipulus gives them... It does give them a 4+ invulnerable save. So it's not the Feel No Pain. And also lethal hits, which is solid. But it does have the cool Torrent gun, so... So 3 Manipuli, plus a Techno-Archaeologist. 1, 2, 3, 4... Is this 4 units of Vanguard? 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Vanguard. 80 points, 8 points of model, and they have a 4+, 5+ invuln. And then a once per game 4+ invuln with the Manipulus attached. So they're like kind of like annoyingly tanky. 2 of them are in Dune Riders. Plus... Oh, there are Breachers. Oh, just kidding. No, I just totally missed those. Holy crap. Alright, no, alright. Fair enough. So one of the Breacher teams probably has the Master Annihilator in it, and the other one probably has the Stealth guy in it. So one of them's super tanky, the other one hits harder. And then the other guy can hang out with Skitarii and go do damage with them. And then we have Skystalkers. These guys are sweet because they have a Fire and Fade. And they could, if they go up to a Skitarii unit, a battle line unit, they can do a 12-inch Fire and Fade. So they can actually like shoot and scoot super hard. But that makes them really good for engage and behind enemy lines and stuff, because they can drop in 9 inches away and then move 6 towards you. Or potentially 12 if you already have Skitarii up in the front. Sulfur Hounds, 1 Infiltrator unit, and then 3 sets of 2 Sidonian Dragoons. Interesting to see the Sidonian Dragoons widely played, because they seemed kind of mid to me. Let's look at them real quick. If I can find them, holy crap. Do I have their data sheet? This is a Iron Strider. Oh, okay. It's alphabetical. That's why. They can reroll desperate escape checks. Let's go. And they can fall back, shoot, and charge, which is fine. They are 4 attacks, sustain 2. I guess it's strength 7 lance. Sustain 2 is like kind of like +2 to hit. So they sort of hit on 2s. They're probably averaging 3 hits out of 4. Anti-Walker 2+. Correct Knights. Just critical would do for 2 damage apiece. Bloop. And then they wound basically the entire game on 4s. I guess for 60 points they're okay. But I think largely what you're bringing them for... Well, in units of 2, you actually want to get work out of them. Units of 1, I think a lot of people brought them for utility. Units of 2, they're kind of just a problem solver, I guess. Say every list, which we could show you want to do 2,000 points of agents. You can't do it. It's not legal, chat. That is a faction you can't win with, in fact. They don't have a detachment. You're not allowed. All right. So yeah, this is a little bit more standard of a list than I thought it was. But it does have a lot of the individual units. So Cerberus, Sulphur Hounds, and the Skystalkers, 3 Obsidian Dragoons, and the Infiltrators for utility. There's 2 Cataphron Breachers to do damage, the Skachari Vanguard to harass, and then we have Manipulus supporting the whole thing. Seems solid. Just pretty solid. You do get a lot of extra stuff for not having the triple Breacher teams. You get a lot of chaff on the table, which is pretty sweet. Should have some more GSC over here. And then I know a lot of people are asking for Tyranids, so we can take a look at Tyranids after that. Can we find some more AdMech to look at? There should be some at Ratcon, I think. Oh, I didn't have my placings up, that's why. Got some World Eaters, Chaos Knights, Imperial Knights, Black Legion, Temp Empire, got some Tyranids, got Space Marines. Oh, maybe not. Dang! Maybe that's all the AdMech I have for you today. At least that X and 1. Yeah. Alright. Should we hop into Tyranids, chat? Let's bite the bullet and jump in. Talk about some buggy boys. It is interesting to see Tyranids not quite as high as I think people are expecting them. It was interesting to see so many people at... so Charity Hammer was this weekend, which did kind of throw off a lot of the results in the States anyway, because there's like a huge glut of talent that goes there and streams all weekend. By the way, I think they broke $45,000 raised for Child's Play, which is absolutely nuts. I feel like they should cut it off at 40,000 just to be thematic, but the extra 5,000 is certainly appreciated. But they send like so many players from Art of War and other teams and stuff go over there and play there. But there were so many Tyranid players, I think, because it's like new and exciting. It was interesting to see the Tyranid players go really far. It showcased, I think, how powerful the faction is when you play them like a point scorer. Their game plan hasn't really changed of just stalling the game out until they can beat you on secondaries, which I think is basically the same. The real brawly Tyranid lists don't feel like they did super well. They died to the like hefty anti-tank stuff, but the really like the jumpy Tyranid lists seemed like they were doing okay. But it is interesting that not many people took Tyranids to a solid record in regular events. So let's take a look down. We have one here. This is Fields of Damnation. Byron Livingstone. was running just normal invasion fleet. Had a Death Leaper, Adaptive Biology Hive Tyrant, and a Neuro Tyrant. By the way, with Neurolictors now, the Neuro Tyrant's fucking so good. I love that guy. I wasn't sold on him previously, but now that you have Neuro Tyrants in the mix to give +1 to wound against stuff that gets battle shocked, the Neuro Tyrant's reducing your leadership for Psychic for Shadow in the Warp is so good. Double Exocrine, Maleceptor, single Neurolictor, 2 X3 Raveners for utility. Love those guys. 2 units of Ripper Swarms, 1 Trigon. A Chad Trigon enjoyer. I think I'm finally dropping the Trigon from my Vanguard Onslaught list, but man, do I love him. It makes me feel sad. I think he's better as a Maleceptor, just standing in the middle of the table, but holy shit, is the Trigon. It's Chad. If he was 150, I think you would see him all the time. 180, he doesn't quite do enough damage, I feel like, but he's like so classy. He's just so classy. Tyranids work well with the new Vanguard and Swarm when playing just the mission. Stopping enemies with walls of flesh, yeah. That's definitely, I think, the game plan. You're not even trying to kill people, really. Like, you can wombo combo out killing individual units, and occasionally there are situations where, you know, you're relying on defensive strats, and the mass battle shock forces its way through and you die. But that's really unreliable for the Tyranid player. Oh my god. Think you want to come up? No, you don't. You just want to take my attention. Nids lost half. If Nids lost half of their power to kill, would the Codex have fixed it? Yeah, I mean, kind of. Unironically, that's almost exactly what happened. It's not quite the same as the Osid Moment change, but they lost all of their... Like, Tyranids had a sub-theme of stratagem efficiency, which just got, like, literally ripped out of the guts of the Codex. Most of the detachments don't synergize with the Hive Tyrant aura anymore, which is something that I don't think that the faction was designed for. There are stratagems that were worded specifically to work with the Tyrant aura that do not anymore because of the battle tactic change. But I think the fact that it released units that like meshed with the Tyranid game plan really well, I think kept them going. If they hadn't released Neurolictors and they hadn't like made the Ripper Swarm change, I think that Tyranids would actually be in a tough spot. But I think those units actually help a ton, like a ton. There are some detachments that work well with it. I think Invasion Fleet being one of them, and Invasion Fleet sort of staying is one of the best for that reason. Is great. But there are some detachments that are kind of much tougher to play because they don't synergize with the Tyrant aura. It's very frustrating. Let's see. We have any more? We have a couple at 3 and 2. Probably some from Recon, right? Oh, we had another 1,000 Suns at 4 and 1. That's okay. We talked about 1,000 Suns. Here's a Tyranid. Ooh, lost in the final round. It's a tough loss. Almost got there. This one is also Invasion Fleet. We're running a Termagaunt this time, though. Whoa! Whoa! All right. Death Leaper, Hive Tyrant, 1 Termagaunt with Adaptive Biology, so the sweet Feel No Pain. That's a good place for it, too. 40 Hormagaunts, 60 Termagants with Devours. So we're trying to use the 5+ critical strat, I think, to trigger lethal and sustain on these guys. It's basically the same combo as you get in Invasion Fleet. It just costs 2 CP instead of 1. But you also get the 5+ Feel No Pain strat for free from the Hive Tyrant. So it's like kind of a 6 and 1/2 a dozen of the other. So you can do kind of nutso damage with these guys. They shoot 40 times. You can reroll 1s with the Exocrine if you're shooting at something that he shot at beforehand. And then your 5+ is automatically wound and get an additional hit. So you're getting like 13 of those. So you get 13 auto wounds plus 13 additional hits. Plus you'll get another, I don't know, like 12 or so regular hits that you then wound on 5s or whatever. So you probably net like 20 saves on whatever you're shooting at if you trigger both of those effects. It takes a very specific specific profile to be good against, but it is not too bad. A big 20-man Uniragon unit, just forcing Synapse up the table. 1 Maleceptor and a little Zoanthrope unit to give everybody a 6-up invulnerable save. That's very different, actually. That's a cool list. Mass Termagants. Is it coming back, chat? Are we back to Horde mode? Harrydan not worth the points? I don't know. I think the issue is that, like, you lack a frontline with Tyranids if you take Harrydan, so you're probably just better off taking 3 Maleceptors. But I think the issue with the faction right now is that most of the time you're better off taking 3 Maleceptors. That's kind of the realization that I'm very quickly coming to, and I think a lot of people are on, where you're like, how do I make this Tyranid list better? I put 3 Maleceptors in it. Like, oh, okay. Cool. Suddenly I can, like, stand in the middle of the table and not just fucking die. I think the direct comparison is a bunch of Zoanthropes, and the Harridan is like has better target acquisition than they do, but you can't hide them really, so that's the downside. It's tougher to get shots on target with the Zoanthropes, whereas the Harridan can shoot whatever it wants, basically. But it's less consistent. Is there a detachment where the Norn Emissary isn't an auto take? I think all of them. I'm gonna be honest. I think the Norn Emissary is solidly mediocre. It's best in Synaptic Nexus. Outside of Synaptic Nexus, I would think twice about taking it, honestly. It's just gonna not do anything and then die. Yeah. The issue is that if you compare the Norn Emissary to most of the other like big tanks in the game, and it's defensively it's not quite a knight. It's a knight with crappy toughness. And a competitive army in 40k can just kill a knight if they need to. So your opponent's not going to be like, oh no, what do I do about this Norn Emissary? It's so strong. They're just going to kill it. If your opponent doesn't have the ability to kill a knight, I think their list is poorly composed, and you'll probably beat them anyway. Is generally speaking, with the issue that I found, myself included. I've had trouble with Norn Emissaries in the past, but mostly because my list has been bad, or it's been relying on Battle Shock, which is good in the mirror match, to be fair, because it's Synapse and it's very hard to Battle Shock. Whereas if you're trying to get the Neurolictor buff on it, it's hard to apply. But occasionally you just fail. You can't Armor of Contempt it anymore. It just gets gangbanged by a bunch of dudes +1 to wound and energize. Yeah, if it was T12, I think I would be like way more on it. If it was T12 or it like had good guns or something, I would be much more onto it. But as just a solid tank, I think it's like thoroughly mediocre. You probably get more bang for your buck out of. Again, ready? 3 Maleceptors. Say it with me, chat. Woo! All right. What should we talk about next, chat? We had some people looking for Custodes. Maleceptor is tougher in the Norn due to the aura. Certainly. Yeah, occasionally, for sure. How are either knights doing? So I talked about Chaos Knights in my video this morning. We had from Lakes of Blood, there was a 4-0-1 Chaos Knights list at number 1 spot. I'll see if there's any other like top placing Chaos Knights real quick, but I don't know if we'll spend too much time on them just because I've already talked about them. There was a top placing Imperial Knights though, was I think 3rd in its event. So we'll grab that one real quick. Okay, Matt Morrisoli actually rocked Chaos Knights to a 4-1 at RatCon. We'll talk about him real quick. He had a Stalker as the Warlord. Let's go. Oh, this man is on the War Dog train today. Holy crap. Okay. So Aura of Terror so that he can lock objectives, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Brigands, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Carnivores, Blue Scribes, and Changeling. Done. We're doing War Dogs, everybody. That's what's up. Easy peasy. All right, fair enough. That seems good. It's a pretty classic Chaos Knights list. I don't know if there's much else to say about that one. Seems solid. Just being able to, like, chip damage with all the Havoc launchers, you can chip damage a bunch of stuff on the table, and then not being able to insane bravery or at least efficiently insane bravery the additional forced battle shock checks ends up being huge, I think, in my opinion. Just forcing a billion battle shock checks on your opponent in their own turn is really, really super good, with Chaos Knights being like all up in your grill. The big question is, do you take 3 Neurolictors or 2? I would say 3 in effectively every list. I am never upset that I have a 3rd Neurolictor. They just like in and of for their points value, points for like just the body that they're on is already good. They have some like good. They have solid melee attacks. They're a forward operating lone operative with a 4+ invulnerable save. Like they're hard to kill. They have infiltrate. They do your actions really well, and they can sometimes fight people pretty good. So like you're already like 1 to 2 just for that reason, and then the battle shock thing is like so nuts that I think it just pushes them in. You just always take 3, in my opinion. All right, let's find some Imperial Knights, chat. Here we go. James Snellgrove from Partisan Games. I think this is a smaller one. It was sub 20. Stephen Box went 4-1 with Black Templars. There you go, chat. What do you think about that? Stephen Box on Black Templars today. Wait a minute. Oh, this is Grey Knights. What did I... Oh, I clicked on the wrong list. That's why. I was like, oh no, we've been bamboozled again. Nope, just kidding. It's just totally me. All right, interesting. So we have a Knight Crusader with Mysterious Guardian, so he can deep strike. We have Canis Rex, and he can pick up off the table and drop down later. Canis Rex. Canis Rex got a big points decrease. He already didn't have a Bondsman ability, so he basically just got a flat buff, he himself. And he's still, despite the fact that his free strat ability got like just railgunned into the sun, he's still probably the hardest hitting model in the game. Although also they nerfed Thunderstomp for him, and I don't understand, because that stratagem got nerfed so many different ways. It was very bad. We then had 2 Helverins, plus 4 Warglaves, a Vindicare Assassin, and a Boysman at Arms. Vindicare Assassin, I love the inclusion of that, kind of because it's like a huge flavor fail. It allows you to unlock your Layload the Tyrants detachment ability like way easier, because you can shoot your Warlord and kill them with a sniper rifle. But it's like certainly it's definitely not the most honorable way to kill your opponent's Warlord. These knights are like, for the glory of the Imperium, I will duel you with my great war machine. My Reaper Chainsword will be lathered in your ichor, enemy Warlord. And then they just like pay a dude, a shady guy in a bar to shoot them. Like outside their house on a Thursday evening. But you know, whatever works. We're also back to Voidsman at Arms. I love those guys. I like to see Voidsman get played. They have that cool rotary cannon. Oh, it's a little rotor cannon, little AP1 gun. That's cool. They're better than the 35-point, like, kind of busted Exaction Squad. But a lot of people now are on Inquisitorial Henchmen as the retinue Imperial Agent du jour, because they have 8 wounds for 40 points instead of 5 wounds for 50. They're just only 4 models instead of 5 is the difference. And I think their save sucks. These guys, I think, have a base 5+ or a base 4+, if I remember correctly. But the Henchmen, I think, just have a 6+. Are Maliceptors back in stock anywhere? Let me tell you, STLs never go out of stock, you know? Why Cultists over Blue Scribes? Because you get command point economy from Cultists, which you don't get anywhere else in Thousand Suns besides getting the occasional free strat, and you get a scout move unit. Blue scribes are awkward because you can put them on the table in the middle to do turn 1 stuff, but they give up assassination.
Ignext? Man spam seems strong.
Ignext. Yeah, we'll drop into some Astra Militarum. They occasionally give up assassination, and they're mounted, so they awkwardly don't move through walls very well. Whereas the cultists, having a 10 model unit just gives you so much more usability. If you're not doing any damage in the first turn, you can drop a bunch of points into moving them around the table, and you can actually just move them 4 times in 1 turn, and then put them on your opponent's deployment line, and then just stop them from moving. And then your opponent has to kill them, and then you get command points. It's just win. It's a win-win. Everybody wins. Yeah, I love cultists. The Thousand Suns cultists are unironically super dumb. Damned Legion in chat. What's up, dude? I've been seeing your comments on my videos, and it always makes me feel good. You can do a little heart, a little streamer heart. Thank you. All right, we said Astra Militarum next. Let's see. This event actually was won by Astra Militarum. Whoa, look at these scores, by the way. 89, 99, 99, 190. Whoa, that's a good score right there. Again, this was only 18, so I didn't cover it on my 18 players, so I didn't cover it on my normal video, my best list video. But still worth talking about. I did talk about Astra Militarum in that video anyway, though, because they went undefeated at Throne of Skulls. This one's running Leontis, so we're going to be ordering some big tanks around. A tank commander with Grand Strategist, Ursula Creed, a platoon's command squad. And I think Ursula Creed basically has all of her useful stratagems. She has a stratagem recursion effect, but all of her stratagems are battle line anyway. Yeah, you get Gilliman's ability on regiment units. So you get Fields of Fire out of it. Oh, it's just Fields of Fire, I guess. But I guess getting that for free every turn is super solid, because that's a 2CP. Yeah, that's a 2CP strat for +1 AP, and you just put it on a mortar team every turn, and that just saves you a ton of command points. Yeah, that's super solid. Love that. All right. So 1 unit of 20 Cadian Shock Troopers. That's it for the man spams. I think we're in on a bunch of tanks today. A Basilisk, a heavy weapons team with mortars. So that's the one that's going to be adding +1 AP to people. For Ursula Creed plus that unit is basically just the Imperium's poor, pale imitation of an Achilles Ridge Runner. A Kazarkin unit, just 10 Kazarkin. 1 Manticore, 1 Leman Russ Exterminator. 5 Rattling Snipers for the forward deploy. A set of regimental attachés. Oh, excuse me. Double Rogel Dords. And double Scout Sentinels. Plus a Scion Squad for utility. Where did all the points go in this list? This feels light. It's on the Rogel Dords, I guess. So 260 for the Rogel Dorn profile is pretty good, right? Because they're T12. 2 up with a Blade of Armor. Kind of a big, dumb, annoying profile to kill. And then with Lord Solar and the Tank Commander, you can order both of them for +1 to hit. Or whatever you need. That's a Leman Russ. Where's the Rogel Dorn at? Astra Militarum has altogether too many tank datasheets. Here you are. It's getting cut off. There it is. Yeah, T12, 18 wounds. Non-Titanic with ablative plating. The ablative plating mechanic is annoying because it triggers on allocation rather than failed saving throw, and I think a lot of people are going to get that wrong. I almost wonder if that's worth talking about in a video or something. So it's when you would go to make the save, basically. You then decide to change the characteristics to 0. If you fail the save, it doesn't mean anything then.
Is the Neuro Tyrant an auto-include for Synaptic Nexus? And how many Pyrovores would you recommend for a shooty nids list? Should they be together?
I would say... I don't know if the Neuro Tyrant's an auto-include, but I would say that the Neuro Tyrant is a strong consideration for a Synaptic Nexus list. I would say probably 80% of Synaptic Nexus lists will include a Neurotyrant, if I had to hazard a guess. Power of the Hive Mind on that guy is really strong to make his gun AP2. The jump between Strength 5 and Strength 6 and AP1 to AP2 is huge for that Flamer. It's super good. How many Pyrovores would I recommend? I think it depends on if you have a Hive Tyrant. If you don't have a Hive Tyrant, I would say probably like 1 in a singleton. If you do have a Hive Tyrant, I would say 2 or 3 probably. Generally speaking, as individuals. Because then you have a lot more maneuverability to remove cover from people. And then other than that, I think you could play multiples in like Assimilation Swarm, loves multiples of them. And I think like there are arguments to be made for larger units of Pyrovores in very specific lists where you're going to have them either strategic reserve in or get sit around the Hive Tyrant for a while. The downside, the thing I would consider though, is that their new base size really doesn't mesh with their range for the large units of multiple. So because their base is like basically 4 inches now, if you have them in a line, you can imagine that there's one behind the first one. Its range is essentially like reduced to 8 or 9 inches because it's going to be it's going to have to be that much farther back from the guy in front of it. And I see that a lot of people like think that they're going to get this massive damage out of 3 Pyrovores and then only one of them gets to shoot. And they're just like, oh. So I would keep that in mind. Does the Rogel Dorn ability work like Ghost Heal? Yeah, it's exactly the same ability. It's just once per game instead of twice. Exactly the same role. Thinking of giving Inquisitorial Henchmen a try. Are there any actual Inquisitors we're taking right now? Yeah, I think Inquisitor Kodiaz is actually really good. Because everyone's going to start taking CP generation effects, right? Because free strat effects are way worse than they were. So a lot of people are swapping from those to CP generation. And Kodiaz gives you your own CP generation if your opponent has it, basically. And keep in mind, though, his ability only triggers off of other people's abilities. If you have, for example, if you discard command points, or not command points, if you discard tactical mission cards to get command points, he doesn't trigger. It only triggers when another model's ability gives you command points. He gives you a command point. But he kind of slaps really hard. He has an anti-infantry devastating 2 damage gun, so he's like super good against. It's also not like overcharged, so it's just D6 shots. You don't have to take hazardous or anything. And he has 3 damage strength 9 attacks. So like he himself is like kind of sweet, and then also he just gives you a bunch of CP, and he can join your Inquisitorial Henchman. I actually like him a lot. That would be the one I would take. I've seen some Greyfax hovering around occasionally. She's kind of whatever. Kyria Draxus is kind of cute too. All the special characters are okay. Yeah, she can like situationally make her unit untargetable, which is cool. All right. Can move on. Any more Astra Militarum real quick before we head off the Astra Militarum train? Not immediately that I can see. I think we've talked about most of them. All right. I saw some people aching for some Black Templars. We can talk about Stephen Blox's Black Templars list. I'm interested to see how Black Templars fare, because they look super good. There are some stuff that really shuts them down. Movement reduction effects really kill them. But if you can't deal with that, I think they just run you over. So if you get like the Basilisk is probably rough for this thing. The Night Spinner I think is tough for them. Fortunately, the discount on Land Raiders helps a lot, in my opinion. So we have a Castellan, Chaplain Grammatis, who's like an auto-include. That guy's amazing. Heimlicher Helbrecht, also basically an auto-include. A Judiciar with Sigismund's Seal. 1 combi weapon lieutenant for a little bit of utility. Plus the Emperor's Champion. 1 intercessor squad. 1 big 20-man Primaris Crusader squad. So that you just windmill slam Grimaldus in that unit. I should do like a funny video on this unit this week, I think. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Because it is probably the highest like output melee unit in the entire game. This unit's like so stupid if it can make melee. It's got a huge target on its head. You have to kill it before it gets to you, because if you don't, it'll kill you straight up. You'll just die. I think we did the math a couple weeks ago, and I think it averages 40 damage into almost any target, or 40 saving throws at AP 2 to 3 against basically any target in the game. 4-0. So there's almost nothing that survives a Primaris Crusader squad hitting them at 20 models. If they all get into melee, which to be fair is tough. We got 1 Ballistus Dreadnought, 2 Land Raiders, 2 Sword Brethren, 3 Sword Brethren squads. Whoa! Oh, it's 3 of 5. Okay. 3 of 5 Sword Brethren. So we can double up a couple of those into the Land Raiders and a Scout Squad. Love to see the Scout Squad. They're super good. And it doesn't look like they're changing in the new codex too much. So if they retain all of their abilities, they're still going to be super good. But they get shotguns, they get good melee, and they get a missile launcher for 65 points, and they infiltrate plus scout. So they can screen enemy infiltrators, and then if you lose the roll off to go first, they just hide behind a building. Super good. Or they like move up to block or something. Love those little guys. Yeah, I don't know. Seems pretty solid. Kind of standard Black Templar stuff, but honestly, Black Templar is like fun as hell to play, if I'm gonna be real. You get to play Land Raiders, and you get to play like super sweet characters, and you get to play like a horde of melee like sword guys. Love it. All right, what time are we on? Oh, we're getting up there, chat. I'll take a couple requests for a couple more factions if we want to run through them before we sign things out. We did talk a little bit I talked about a Grey Knights list that went 5-0 this morning. If you caught it on best armies in 40k. So if you want to go watch that video, I highly recommend. A list with, it was double Terminators, Paladins, triple Dread Knight went undefeated, and triple Librarians, which was good. We already did Chaos Knights. more Black Templars. Black Templars all the time. Nothing but Black Templars. I did talk about a Necron's list on best armies in 40k, but we haven't talked about demons yet. Let's see if we can find any demons, actually. Demons might have been a little hard done by, honestly. The nerf to their big stuff was really unfortunate. I'm not really sure they deserve that. It's very strange. We got a 3-2 demons. Another 4-2 demons. Might have been a bad week for demons. They're like almost all X and 2. I hope demons didn't just get like clocked directly in the jaw by those points changes. They did kind of come out of nowhere. Because that was not a faction that was doing particularly well. Although, to be fair, who knows? It was doing well pre-Data Slate. It was all Eldar all the time, forever and ever and ever. All right, let's hop on one of these 3 and 2 demons. We have one from Fields of Damnation who only lost in semifinals onward. Oh, we just like powered through the points changes, I guess. Oh no, my greater demons went up in points anyway. So we have Bellicor, Kairos, double Lords of Change. One of them has Everstave because he's great. Oh, excuse me, I misspoke. How could I? Triple Lords of Change. 3 Lords of Change. That feels like a lot. Do you need 3 of them? I don't know if you need 3. I don't know if you need the 3rd one. After Kairos and the Everstave guy, the other ones do feel like kind of bad to me, but who knows. We had 2 Zinj Soul Grinders, 2 units of Nurglings for utility, and the Changeling. They do have like pretty okay shooting, but it's a lot of like AP1 though. Is the problem. I don't know if I really ever understood these Lord of Change, like the Lord of Change spammy armies. They're just like good wounds, I guess, tough wounds. But at being significantly more expensive, 35 points more per unit, you could get a whole extra Nurgling Swarm if out of the points changes that Lords of Change got. Feels like a lot. I don't know. What do you think, chat? Do Grey Knights basically play the secondary game and the I'm not gonna fight you strategy? Yeah, essentially what they do, like if they play librarians, they can kill like one thing per turn if you let them, because they just like with their powers combined, they just like Kamehameha the whatever they need to, and they'll like shoot it off the table with mortal wounds, and then they just like sweep all your infantry because everyone has a Stormbolter and a Heavy Flamer basically. And then they just bounce around the table, and they 3-inch deep strike off your objectives, and if you try to engage them, they just like miss some Deimos back into reserve and then do it again next turn. So they keep you on like really low primary, and they complete all their secondaries. They sometimes have trouble actually scoring their own primaries, because sometimes they die. But they are tough enough to kill. Like, everything's got a 2+ save. It's always in cover all the time, because it's always like towed behind a building. It's like left pinky is behind a wall. And then, yeah, they just play the primary, or the VP game for the most part. Although now that a lot of their vehicles are cheaper, they can actually fight a little bit better than they could, because their heavier hitting stuff used to be wildly expensive, and it got huge points cuts. The one with enhancements is really good. With that, it falls off really hard. Yeah, that's been my experience too. The enhancements one is like so good, and then the second one is so sad. But in Kairos Fateweaver is like always great. That guy rocks. But the other two, I don't know if I really understand. I guess that like the arithmetic is that you could take 2 for 520, or you could take like 1 of the other greater demons. Because like an upgraded Bloodthirster is like close to 350 now, right? So do you take a Bloodthirster and then some chaff? But the Lords of Change is the only way you get 2 in. How many points is a Keeper of Secrets these days? I did see one list that was going around a while ago that was just all 4 Keepers of Secrets. And it was just trying to force as many Feel No Pains as possible. And I think you could do that on the Great and Clean one, maybe. Actually, yeah, why don't we just take Great and Clean ones? Wait a minute. Those guys are awesome. Why aren't we taking a... For 20 points more than this Lord of Change, you get a Great and Clean one with the upgrade to have a 4+ Feel No Pain. And that dude never dies. And he supports the other Lords of Change. Inky full rules breakdown when? Inky's rules cannot be broken down. Inky defies codification by rules. Inky, no rules govern Inky the cat. Bloodthirsters don't need the enhancement. Yeah, but it's nice. I like it when numbers go up. It is pretty good on the Demon Prince, though, for sure. Because you get that guy to, like, Strength 11 with 1 billion attacks, which is solid. I don't hate that, for sure. People asking for Blood Angels. We can look for some Blood Angels. I did talk about Dark Angels in the video earlier today, chat. So I don't know if I'm going to dig too deep on Dark Angels. You can watch... that video to learn about how good Dark Angels did. And also Deathwatch, randomly. Deathwatch, I think I said that like Deathwatch are probably just going to switch to Sternguard veterans instead of Desolators, and they did that, and then they went 5-0. I was like, good job, guys. That seems like a pretty obvious wombo combo. Because being able to extend range on their big guns is really good. Might be... oh, we found a Blood Angels. We found a Blood Angels at 3 and 2. And if that one is, if that one was good enough for Chaos Demons, it's good enough for us, I think. So we can find any more. Oh. Grab this Blood Angel. So this is from Partisan Games. It's Blood Angels in Gladius Task Force. So one thing, I was talking to some people on the Discord today, by the way. about Blood Angels, and one of the pieces of technology that was mentioned to me, which I actually really love, is that you can just take the Librarian Dreadnought, which a lot of people used as like a setup for melee units, and you just take them with a bunch of dudes with guns. So you're taking like Stern Guard veterans and like Hellblasters and like aggressors, and he just yeets them across the table. Which I think that I'm kind of in love with, because the Librarian Dreadnought's not terrible by himself. He's like kind of good sitting in the back line, but then he also just gives you infinite threat range on any of your dudes with a ranged attack. And I think that's actually really cool. So shout out to that Blood Angels. That Blood Angels technology. I think that's pretty solid. So we're running the Chaplain with Honor Vehement in Gladius Task Force, because you gotta. It's so good. 1 Aggressor Squad. 2 Death Company Jump Pack Marine units to stand next to that Chaplain so they don't lose all of their objective control. A single Devastator Squad. These Devastator Squads, by the way, have the their Armorium Cherub now automatically converts a hit roll to a 6. And it's any hit roll. It's not only during your shooting phase. So you can fire Overwatch with Devastator Squads and automatically convert one of your hits. And it's after rolling. You switch it too. It's like the Infernal Master ability. So it's actually kind of cool. I don't know if it's worth 120 points for a bunch of dudes with like kind of mediocre guns, but it's a pretty cool piece of technology. 1 Eradicator Squad, 1 Gladiator Lancer, double Inceptors because they rock, double Infiltrators also because they rock, 1 Librarian Dreadnought. Yeah, so that's probably what we're doing is we're yeeting the Aggressor Squad across the table, I imagine. And then you can like you can set them up too. You can adapt to strategy them into Devastator Doctrine, Bolter Discipline, put them on the other side of the table, and then Storm Fire them, and you're shooting at AP2, no cover, exploding plus lethal on 5s, basically anywhere on the table. Which is actually sort of scary. Aggressor squads they've always done sort of nutso damage, but they've always were kind of outshadowed by Desolators, which were just the best recipients of that combo. But now that everyone's doing it on aggressors, it's just really good. 1 Whirlwind plus 2 Scout Sniper squads. Yeah, seems like a good list, chat. I kind of love it. It is the Wings of Sanguinius is just a setup that is mechanically identical to Deep Strike, but it is not itself Deep Strike, right? Yeah. So you can't like do funky stuff where you deploy Inceptors and then redeploy them 3 inches away from people. That would be kind of cool, but I don't think that's how that works. Seems good. The big Pyrovores are now. It's kind of funny they're still considered infantry. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do a TTT video on it when I have a free minute, and just rant about the scale creep in the Tyranid Codex, because it's bad, like not only for like the normal reasons the scale creep are bad, where like, oh, it fucked with your true line of sight and it makes the units mechanically harder to play, and it is like this corporate like ploy to get you to upgrade your models, but it's also bad because the models no longer match their profiles on the table. Like, Death Leaper has the defensive profile of, like, a Gravis Captain. Like a 2-inch tall, tiny Space Marine man. But Death Leaper is, like, 7 inches tall and larger than a Hive Tyrant. Like, what? What? And I'm not saying that Death Leaper should have better defensive stats. I'm saying Death Leaper should not have a model that's so dramatically oversized. And it's the same thing for the Pyrovores, too, and the Biovore. Like, I tell people, like, I move through a wall and somebody's like, oh, do they have like Scuttling Crawler or something? Because they're spiders, right? You would kind of make sense. And I'm like, no. Just infantry. There's just infantry that's larger than most of the monster keyworded units in the game. You compare those to like a Crisis Battlesuit, and you're like, what are you doing, GW? This is an infantry model, but a Crisis, like a 6-wound infantry or 5-wound infantry model versus a Crisis Battlesuit. It's like a 4-wound vehicle, but is like 1/2 the size. Doesn't make any sense. I hate it. Add in the Eliminator teleport, shoot, and move tech. Oh, that is cool. Jonathan Coe, that is a shout out. I love that. So you could, yeah, you just pop them with the Librarian Dreadnought and then make a ranged attack, and then they just do covering fire to jump in way. That's... Man, Eliminators are so fucking sick. Too bad they took Scout Snipers in this list. Every time I see a piece of Eliminator technology, I'm always impressed by it. Just the ability to move in the middle of your own shooting phase has always been super powerful. How are Custodes doing? There were a couple Custodes at X1. Let me go grab one. Oh. Just gotta find it here, chat. Maybe I missed it. What have I done? I picked one out when I started, but now I can't seem to find it. Maybe I misread Sororitas. Be awkward. Foot in my mouth, I guess. We got a 3-2, I guess. Top of 3-2. Adeptus Custodes. Post data slates. I could have sworn there was one at pretty high in an event placement. Now I can't find it. This one is running a Blade Champion, a Veiled Blade Champion, Ceaseless Hunter, Terminator Captain. That's kind of cute. So you can move the Terminator unit after it deep strikes. Reactively, of course. A 5-man Custodian Guard Squad, 2 units of Prosecutors, Alaris Custodians, a big 5-man, and a 5-man, and 2 5-mans of Wardens. Holy crap. Plus 1 Kalados Grab Tank and a bit of care. So what goes in the Warden squads? I guess we have Trajan and the Blade Champion in the Warden units. And then the Custodian Guard are just by themselves. Interesting. Because the Wardens don't get their -1 to be wounded buff, right? If they're not attached to a cap character. So it feels like it would be a little bit weird to not attach any characters. But we have more units than we can attach characters to. Now, what does the Shield Captain have access to with his free stratagem in the Alaris units? They changed Unwavering Sentinel so he doesn't get it for free, right? Oh, but everything else is a battle tactic. Man, fuck this attachment. Oh, that's so good. So you get +1 to wound monsters and vehicles, you get -1 damage, and you get plus attacks for free with the Shield Captain attached. That's really solid. Yeah, I think you just windmill slam that Alaris Custodian unit. The other thing that we're seeing more recently is people taking like 6s of Venatari. Or big Venatari. I forget if it's 5s or 6s on the max unit size for those guys. See if I have their datasheet here. Sagittarum, Aquilons, Agamemnus, Venatari. Yeah, it is 6s. So, they get the rapid ingress, and you can double target rapid ingress. So you could rapid ingress like multiple units in one turn. And if you have the Shield Captain, he also has the same ability. So you can rapid ingress, for example, if you had Custodian Guard, Venatari, and Alaris Custodians, you do have to worry about the size of your units because you're worried about reserve limits. But you can rapid ingress all 3 of them in one turn. Because you pay for the Custodian Guard, duplicate with the Alaris Custodians, and then get another free instance of it with the Venatari. So you can be like super maneuverable with that unit, which is really cool. Plus they have Lance, which is nice. So sick. A little bit lower on the Kalados Grab Tank. I expected a lot more lists to just like audible into triple Kalados. Or Caladius, excuse me. Because it didn't really get a change at all. No other Custodes players discovered the Alea plus Vigilators in a Rhino. They plus punch way above their late. Alea gives you +1 to a hit roll if it's below starting strength, +1 to wound if it's below half strength. And Vigilators are the sword ladies, right? Yeah. Prosecutors are bolters. Witch Seekers are flamers. Vigilators are swords. Is it just because they're like have a couple of devastating wound attacks? It doesn't feel like Alea really. Oh, also, yeah, they don't get scout on the Rhino, right? Because all of the units embarked have to have the scout ability. Is that how that works? I know all of the models in the unit have to have the ability for the unit to move. Every model has in a unit has the ability at the start of the first battle round before the first turn begins to make a normal move up to X, as can any dedicated transport unit starts, provided only models with this ability are embarked. Yeah, so it doesn't scout, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't know if I love that. I guess it's cheap, right? Because the Vigilators are like they're like almost free. Right, the issue is that the Vigilators don't have scouts. So you need every unit embarked in the transport to have scouts, and you don't. Yeah. Unit variety for Sisters of Silence would be cool. It is kind of sad that their Rhino is just a regular Rhino. I guess it has a Feel No Pain 3+ against psychic attacks. What a time to be alive. Does it not have firing deck, or is that just the old data sheet? It would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. If they were a playable like sub-faction by themselves and they got their own detachment, I think that'd be rad. It's just tough making an army out of a bunch of ladies, a bunch of models that have like just bolters and stuff. That's just hard to be what's the word? Very well-rounded. One shots Magnus, kills 5 to 6 Wraith Guard. Yeah, I guess if your meta is like full of Psyker units, I guess that is probably pretty good. Your anti-Psyker 4 devastating. Magnus halves it, so he's probably okay. And Alea is the same, but she has extra damage. Honestly, it kind of feels like the Alea show. I would be worried as, like, Tyranids probably hate that, right? Because all their frontline stuff is psychic. So these ladies probably just, like, kill a Maliceptor. And you're like, no. No, that sucks. I love that. Yeah, I'll buy it. There's no way you don't pull these ladies out and say, well, these are anti-psyker 4+, and the Wraithguard unit doesn't phantasm away. But, that's probably fine. It seems like totally cool. Oh, you're right, chat. Yeah, you're right about the Rapid Ingress. I misspoke. That was the old technology. You can't do that anymore because it's not a battle tactic. The only battle tactic that you can target a unit with is go to ground in the core rulebook. Yeah, that's a good call. So you'd get 2. You get 2. Maybe you could take multiple Venatari, though, and you could do them multiple times, I guess. That is right. Venatari doesn't say once per... Yeah, it doesn't say once per turn. Or, yeah, once per turn. It's just once per game. What do I think about Drukhari performance? It's not super shocking to me. Drukhari were always kind of on the fringe as being okay. And now that they got a bunch of free points and a bunch of their predators went down, I think that certainly, that definitely kind of follows. Oh, man, chat. I think we're going to pop off momentarily here. Inky wants to say goodbye. Inky wants to say goodbye to chat? Yeah. You're sitting here singing the song here, people. Inky. No, she doesn't really. She actually just doesn't want to do anything. Inky. Say goodbye to chat. Oh, there she goes. That's all. That's the best goodbye you're gonna get. So yeah, good stuff from this weekend. Lots of good lists. Looks like we are. Custodes did probably get kind of nuked. I do wonder if we'll see them rally in the future. A lot of people are worried about Adepta Sororitas. They seem like they're doing okay. They definitely need a little something. Maybe just cheaper emulators. Just give everybody a free emulator. That faction's probably fine. Yeah. Otherwise, it'll be interesting to see how Space Marines rock out with their new codex. It's going to be an exciting time. World Eaters definitely did pretty well too. Excited about that. Tau Empire kind of killed it, by the way. I saw some people ask about Tau. Tau Empire were the only... If you don't count different Space Marine sub-factions as different factions, or if you consider chapters as different factions, Tau were the only faction with multiple undefeated records. Or multiple X and O records this weekend. There were a bunch of different kinds of Space Marines, but Tau were the only one with single sub-faction. 20% of the Dark Eldar roster is no longer available models. That does sound right. There's a lot of fine cast in that in that army. I remember when that army came out. That was like right as I quit playing 40k, in 5th edition, and yeah, it was a lot of fine cast. And also when that codex came out, that was back when they used to release data sheets for models that didn't have models. So they would future-proof their own releases and be like, well, these are models that we could potentially release in the future, but they would never design models for them. And so people would it was a huge issue because people would create proxies for them and then they would sue them of their proxies. And then they would get ruled against, GW would get ruled against them because they didn't they couldn't claim ownership of an IP that they've never actually, they themselves have never actually created. Or a design, I guess, that they themselves had never actually created. That was, even though it was inspired by their IP, they couldn't claim ownership of it. Hilarious. Since the CP cost modification change, what's a better model to take, Hive Tyrant or Swarm Lord? Context needed, I think. It depends on your list, because the Hive Tyrant, honestly, a lot of times you take it just for the assault aura, and the Swarm Lord is expensive as fuck. So, really need to think about him. Do Tau beat Libby spam Grey Knights? Probably. You just shoot them once they get on the table. Just don't move too much, because then they'll miss the Deimos away. How do I feel about Death Guard? They seem solidly fine. Definitely playable. Certainly not the best thing in the game, but they have a lot of interesting technology, and I think there's some matchups that are going to have an absolute nightmare with them. There's a lot of matchups that's trying to do the tricksy objective ceilings thing, and Death Guard just say, as long as you're on our objectives, you're -1 OC, and you get out OC'd by all of our garbage. And then they just cry. They're sad. They're big sad boys. Gonna have an impulsor filled with 5 inceptors. 5 inceptors? 5 incursors? And a Primaris Tech Marine, but I know the Primaris Tech Marine front scout. Yeah. The weird thing is that the Phobos Librarian can attach to incursors, but doesn't have scout, so he removes it from the unit when he joins them. That's a weird one. I played a list for a while with incursors and infiltrators, and I was like, oh, I could pick what I attach to if I don't need the infiltrators to be stealthy. And then I realized that he just makes the incursors really bad when he attaches to them, which is kind of annoying. A little obnoxious. Are there any factions with usable troop choices? That's a tough question because troops is no longer a mechanic in the game. Do you mean battle line units? Because if so, absolutely. Tyranids have some of the most incredible... I mean, honestly, most of them. I don't know, just going down the list, right? Like, Grey Knights battle line is Strike Squads and Terminators, which is like largely what they play. Custodes are incredible. Space Marines don't play them too often because they're mostly focused on the elite stuff, but they still take a couple every once in a while. Like Tyranids, take them all the time. Gargoyles might be one of the best like objective control units in the game. Yeah, I would say battle line units could show up a lot. Thousand Suns are basically entirely battle line units. Adeptus Mechanicus have to take battle line units. Orcs are like 90% battle line units. Necrons, it's a coin flip whether you take warriors or Lich Guard. I think you just fell off my leg. She's such a clumsy cat. Does plunging fire measure from the model or base? Everything measures from the model unless otherwise specified. Done. Kills you that there's only a 20-ish difference in cost between the Swarmlord and Norn Emissary. Yeah, Swarmlord's like wildly overcosted. The Norn Emissary also probably like 10 or 20 points overcosted. Swarmlord like fucking 50. You compare that dude to Marnius Calgar and just go cry yourself to sleep. You're like, what? He doesn't have the Vect ability, but he gains advance in charge and a gun, a better gun, and like 2 more dudes who fight and also like also eat wounds for his unit. Like he brings his own Tyrant Guard with him. He's just like, aw. And he has like the same melee profile. It's such a kick in the nards, dude. Oof. Assault intercessors with Adrax? Yeah. Adrax rocks. Honestly, the biggest downside to Salamanders right now is that you're directly competing with Ultramarines, but Salamanders' characters are so good. Like, if you read Vulcan Heston's datasheet, it is nuts. That guy's like objective control 10. He's OC 10, chat, with a 4+ feel no pain. What? What? Absolutely insane. 40 games of 40k nits, you've never taken battle line? You've never taken a gargoyle unit in a game of Tyranids, 40k Tyranids? Have you played 40 games in 10th edition too, or is this going through 9th? Does that mean you played all the way through 9th and you never took a unit of Tyranid warriors? Are you for real, my dude? That doesn't sound like a real statistic. Best leader bug to get the -1 detachment in Synaptic Nexus? Probably a Hive Tyrant. If I'm on a Hive Tyrant, I'll put the -1 damage on that guy. Because he's usually out in the open, and it's just nice on him. Plus, you can stack it with Armor of Contempt, so he can be like a 0+ save with -1 damage. And he's kind of hard to kill at that point. Crazy World where the Tyrannicide gets used? No. Just strategic reserve it. Compare Swarmy to a Walking Hive Tyrant? Yeah. I did play Swarmlord the other day, and I wasn't unhappy about it. I played him in an Assimilation Swarm, because that detachment's like basically built around a TCP strat, and it's tough to get the command points for it. But I played double Hive Guard units, or double Tyrant Guard units, and I actually kind of liked it. Because you have a lot of regen, so your opponent has to overcommit on the Tyrant Guard. And then they usually get counter-slapped by Horror Spexes or by the other Hive Tyrant. It didn't feel too bad. Johnny, you should start taking gargoyles. I think you'll find that you'll take more battle line. Gargoyles are so stupid. Unit is unironically bonkers. They're very dumb. I don't usually take the other stuff too often. Occasionally there's Termagants or something. But gargoyles are really, really, really stupid. So fast, so furious. Annoy your opponent. Situationally immune to Overwatch. Plus they deep strike. Plus they can move after deep striking. Plus they're randomly OC2 and move 24 inches. Like it's silly. What a silly unit. What's my matchup later today? Yeah, so I'm gonna be on in about an hour. I'm just gonna double check that is the timing that was agreed upon. It was. So about an hour from now, it's gonna be Thousand Suns and Custodes, but with the caveat is gonna be pre-data slate. So we're doing old Mortal Wounds, and we both have actual armies of full size. Which is, to be fair, probably a side grade for Thousand Suns and Custodes, so it'll be a good game. Yeah. Why is Swarmlord all over the Tyranid subreddit? Well, first of all, it's Reddit. You know, take it with a grain of salt. But also, I think you just sometimes you just need He just needs command points, and he's the way to get them, and that's it. I'm even like, I don't want to, because there's no synergy, but I'm almost putting him in my Vanguard Onslaught, because I run out of command points on like round 2, and then I'm just fucking dead for the rest of the game. And if I had Swarmlet, I would feel so much better about it. And honestly, I'm like, my poor Hive Tyrants, man. I'm a couple games in, and I'm noticing they're doing less and less and less, and I probably should just be deep striking them, but I'm also like, I don't want to. They did Tyranid Warriors dirty. I like the melee unit in Vanguard Onslaught. I've been pretty happy with it. I haven't been like, I'm not like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, but I've been pretty okay with it. All right, chat. I think we're going to call it there, everybody. This was a good talk. Lots of interesting lists that we discussed. Cool to see everything up in the Section 1 bracket, just about. And I'm excited to see how things shake out next week. I think this weekend's going to be really exciting. And I think that I'm pretty happy with how 40k has ended up so far. So please come hang out with me in an hour over on the Purple channel, over on twitch.tv/TacticalTortoise. Remember to come hang out in the Discord if you want to join the team tournament. And other than that, I'll see you later, everybody. Oh, and go check out the VOD replay channel, because I'm going to be putting Tyranid games up probably for the next, like, 2 weeks on there, because I have so many games to run through. That's going to be good. So cheers, everybody. Remember to keep it classy, folks. Have happy wargaming, and I will see you in a little bit.